Hank, what's going on the recruiting trail? Was anybody there for the Mississippi State game? If so, how did that go?
Yeah, so it was going to be a bigger weekend. Sort of bigger weekend. I think everything's kind of aiming towards Georgia in a few weeks in terms of kind of, that's the marquee weekend of the fall. But, earlier in the week, I think when I was on last week, Chase Sims was still expected to officially visit. He actually called that off. He's the Texas A&M defensive line commit. I think Texas A&M got to him, got him convinced to shut it down. He had visited College Station the week prior. So I think he's pretty firm with A&M. But again, we'll see. And Jordan Scruggs noted this, last fall, Ty Anthony Smith, when he was committed to Texas A&M, he had, I want to say, like 2 or 3 different official visits set for Texas that kept getting canceled or moved around. Obviously ended up still flipping in the end. So, it's never over till it's over. But Chase Sims canceled his visit. So, probably moving on there, at least for now. Javion Hilson, who's the big-time edge rusher from Cocoa, Florida, he was set to come in. Obviously, we saw Hurricane Helene, disrupt everything on the East Coast, in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, all those areas. So that was going to be a tough spot for him to travel in last week. But I believe he's set to come in for the Georgia game on an unofficial visit since he used his official visit back in the summer. And that's one that, it looks pretty good for Texas right now. He decommitted from Florida State recently. If you look back at his interviews and, when he's talked about his recruitment, he said Texas was his number 2, behind Florida State. When he took that visit back in the summer, he said, if there's one team he would flip to, it would be Texas. And so, now that he's decommitted from Florida State, the math is the math. We'll see. But, he's still going to take some visits. So we'll see what happens with that. But I guess the two other big 2025 visits, Dalen McCutcheon, another Florida State commit. Texas is just toying with Florida State. He was on campus, 4-star wide receiver. And, you look at the wide receiver class, it's, Khalid Lockett, Jamie French could be done. Guys like Dalen McCutcheon, guys like Kelshawn Johnson committed to Texas A&M, they're still in the equation. And McCutcheon's a guy, even when he committed to Florida State back in July, communication has never stopped. And that's both ways. He's still, in contact with Texas, like we saw this past weekend. He took the visit. Can't probably feel great about any commitment if you're Florida State, just with the product they're putting on the field. They go to SMU and get beat up by the Mustangs last Saturday. They're just not showing a lot. And they're making a quarterback change. Obviously, DJU is hurt. So we'll see what Brock Glenn can do if he can, bring them back to life. But it's not looking pretty for the Seminoles. So Dalen McCutcheon's a guy, Texas right there in the mix for. And then an interesting one, Nelson McGuire, who is a kid from Midlothian, Texas. He is an interior offensive lineman. I don't have his measurements right in front of me. Actually, I do have his measurements right in front of me. 6'4", 320. Interior lineman. He's ranked as that. Can play both. He can play tackle. He can play interior. He's an athletic kid. He's kind of blown up as a senior. You look at his 24/7 page. He's gotten handful of new offers. He was at Auburn 2 weekends ago. He was supposed to officially visit Ole Miss this past weekend, but decided to come on an unofficial to Texas. So his, contact with the Texas staff is ramping up. He has an official visit set to Clemson. He's got an official visit set to Florida. USC just offered him, so he's probably going to go out there as well. So that's if you want to look for a senior riser, that's a guy Texas has legitimate interest in along the offensive line. So we'll see if anything happens there. He told me the visit was amazing. I think he's kind of totally overwhelmed with this process right now because, he has all these coaches hitting him up and trying to get him on visits. So we haven't gotten him for an interview yet. I couldn't catch him after the game, leaving the stadium. So we'll see what he says. But, you'd imagine if Texas does decide to offer him, they'll be right there for Nelson McGuire as well. So that was kind of the big 2025 storylines. There was a handful of 2026 kids. But, in terms of visit magnitudes of or high-profile visit weekends, the Georgia weekend is going to be the big one.
I think this question comes in from Coach 420. How big is it getting Riley Pettijohn on campus? 2025 linebacker.
Yeah. So that was a guy, early on in the cycle, I loved Texas's chances for. Loved them going into the summer. Ohio State kind of picked it up with him and were able to kind of to win him over on those official visits. And but yeah, if he does make, there's reports out that he's going to visit for for the Georgia game in a couple weeks. I think that's big. I think that's telling. I checked in with a source close to him a week or so ago, and they said, there's no flipping here. He's solid with Ohio State. No concerns or anything. And obviously, it's not Texas facing off with like Syracuse or, a program that you could probably flip whoever you wanted off their commitment list. Ohio State's kind of on an even plane. So, we'll see. I think it's big. Obviously, if you can get him on campus, you want to as many times as you can. Obviously, he has a long-standing relationship with the staff. He was getting to know Johnny Nansen pretty close throughout the spring. And so we'll see. And obviously, Texas winning helps also. So hopefully we'll be able to catch him after that visit, see where his head's at. But everything I've been told so far is he's solid with Ohio State. But again, you're taking a visit. It shows a little bit of maybe the door is a little ajar for Riley Pettijohn if he makes that trip.
Yeah. Hank, now we're in October. Give us the Michael Terry update.
Yeah. So Mike Roach had a good update on him too, but today. I think, I still love Texas for Michael Terry. I think that's going to be – I think that's the inside track right there. Texas has the inside track. Oregon has always been pushing for him, and he likes Oregon a lot. I think Nebraska is probably his number 2. And obviously he was up in Lincoln for that game against Colorado a few weeks ago. But I think it always comes back to Texas. I think he loves the plan they have for him. He's kind of just a utility guy on offense. And I don't want to just classify him as that, but like they've told him he's just, one of the most unique skill set type of players. Because you go out and watch him and, he does look like a running back. He looks like a tight end. He looks like a wide receiver. And he honestly looks like a quarterback. I mean, he can do so many different things. He's not going to play quarterback at the next level, but wildcat quarterback. But he's just a really intriguing prospect. He was saying he wanted to wait until December to make a decision. I think it's probably going to be sooner than that. I think, the early signing period is December 4th now. So, there's not a visit window for kids. That the transfer portal, they'll have a chance to take visits when that opens up. But, kids are going to have to start making their decisions here in the next, 2 months. And so I think we'll see Michael Terry probably narrow it down sooner than that. I still like Texas a lot. He's expected in for the Georgia game still. That's been set on the calendar for a while. And so, maybe that's a weekend they can maybe push him to join the class then. But, yeah, Michael Terry would be big-time pickup, and Texas certainly wants to add him.
Hank, do you the Texas OU game coming up, OU is the home team.
Yep.
So they can have recruits, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And Michael Fasusi, has that ship sailed, the talented offensive lineman?
I don't think so. He gave an interview recently saying he was locked in. I don't
locked into OU.
Locked into OU, correct. I don't think there's a ton of contact still, but I think that door is still open if he wants. And you look at a situation like Nelson McGuire, like Texas isn't, they're open to taking more offensive linemen, and especially if it's a guy like Michael Fasusi, he has the chance to rejoin the class if he wants to. So, or to join the class if he wants to. So I don't think the ship sailed. I don't think there's a ton of, momentum in Texas's favor there, but you get to next weekend and if we see Texas kind of handle OU, we'll see if they can kind of turn the tides there with Fasusi. And same thing goes for a guy like Lamont Rogers. I talked to his mom the other day, and she was saying they'd love to visit Texas this year if they can make the schedule work. And he's committed to Missouri, but Texas has probably finished 2 for him as well. So if Texas gets to December and flip season is still early in the calendar. I think flip season officially starts like mid-November. It's when kids start really switching things around. So we'll see. But yeah, I think offensive line is still certainly a spot to look at in terms of Texas, maybe making some late moves.
Yeah. All right, Hank. Aaliyah Chavez. It looked like it went well. I'm seeing highlight videos. She's rocking her number 2 jersey on the field with the Texas women's basketball team at the Mississippi State game. I mean, this is a generational talent. She's a Texas girl. I get Texas Tech is going to throw her everything in the kitchen sink at her, but with where this Texas women's team is on a trajectory of being a national contender every single year, how they go with Aaliyah Chavez probably making her final visit in Austin before she actually commits somewhere.
Yeah. So I've been reaching out to her camp. They haven't done an interview yet. But yeah, I mean, if you just followed along on the social media side of it, I mean, it looked like she was having a great time. Had her whole family down with her. They were taking photos on Friday. They were at the game on Saturday. They left on Sunday, made the drive back to Lubbock. And so, I reached out to a couple sources. The feeling was, I think they hit it out of the park with her. That's to be expected, though. I mean, it's like that she was the only official visitor on campus. Like, that was their focus. And, she was certainly had all the attention on her. I will say, I was told Aaliyah Crump that the Texas commit was on campus as well. So, she was there with some peer-to-peer recruiting, maybe, talking about their potential future together. If they can, swing it that way for Texas. So, we'll see where she goes next. I don't have her visit calendar, and, I don't know if it's all set. She was saying, like I said, or I reported back in September, her dad was saying they want to try to get four official visits in before their season starts, or at least, before early signing day in November for basketball. So I think Texas did what they had to do. They're going to, keep pressing for her. There was a report out last week that LSU's out of it. I don't know how true that is. I don't want to, down someone's reporting, but I still think LSU will probably still factor in, but maybe Texas Tech is probably the top competition now in trying to keep her home. So I think Texas did what they needed to do, was told it went well. Hopefully we'll have an interview with her or her dad or someone in her camp here soon this week.
Yeah. Tech's going to money whip her. So we'll see if she can, maybe see through the green. But we know how Cody Campbell and the Tech money is flowing right now. But Hank, you obviously you covered Ryan Williams in recruiting, and your thoughts on what he's doing for Bama, especially in that win over Georgia.
Yeah, he's unreal. Like, he makes just the position. He reminds me of Justin Jefferson because, like, he just does things that look just so effortless. Like, just the way, I mean, like, have you ever seen someone catch a football like that? Like, and just like, he like kind of hops around and like just these moves that would like tear anyone else's ACL, and like making Malachi Starks look like a JV player. I mean, my goodness, the kid is insane. We're like looking back on his recruitment, but yeah, I mean, he committed to Bama in about 2 years ago this month. It was funny because I remember the weekend. It was a Saturday, and Bama was playing Texas A&M at home, and he just DM'd like all the reporters and was like, "Hey, I'm committing to Alabama," and just he was kind of an unknown at that point. Like, he was a really good player, good enough to commit to Alabama. So like he was like making plays already, but he kind of just, for as like high profile as he is now, his commitment was really low key, and he committed during the game. So like a lot of people overlooked it. Then he just goes on to, obviously play his junior season at Saraland, where KJ Lacey is throwing him passes, and, had a touchdown and had a touchdown or 1 to 3 touchdowns in every game except for one last season, reclassifies to 2024, and is then doing what he's doing at Alabama. So, I mean, crazy talent. And yeah, I mean, that Georgia Bama game, I got home from the Texas game, was watching it. My wife fell asleep on the couch, and she woke up when Georgia caught the go-ahead touchdown pass. And I was like in awe. I was like, I can't believe what's happening right now. This is like the most insane thing I've seen in terms of comebacks. And then right after that, Milroe to Ryan Williams. So yeah, we'll see if, Texas got a little bit of the blueprint in taking down Georgia. Obviously Quinn Ewers isn't Jalen Milroe, but I wonder what Sark will dial up to, attack that defense.
Yeah. What was his reason for reclassifying, Hank? Because we know Quinn Ewers, he did it, might have been for the bag, and knowing the Texas NIL rules conflicted with how high profile he was. But Ryan Williams, he just knew that he was ready for this level, or?
That's pretty much the vibe I got. I mean, he was talking about, there was buzz about him reclassifying at the end of his sophomore season. And then I don't think he fully announced it until December of last year that like, it wasn't like official. I think he was trying to work on the credits. I don't think it was as much NIL. It was just like, yeah, like you said, I mean, he was ready. I mean, he was like, I tweeted the other day, I was like, I would draft Brian Williams right now. I mean, the kid's insane. So yeah, I don't think it was anything, I mean, obviously NIL is in play for him, but as it should be. But I don't think it was anything where, he was trying to go get money now. I think he was just, ready to move on to the next level. He had the credits and had the chance to do it.
Yeah. That's man, you look at him, you look at Ryan Wingo, these dudes are
Jeremiah Smith. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, probably most talented freshman wide receiver class I can think of in a while. Maybe 27. I don't know. We'd have to look into it, but or at least top tier talent.
Hank, everyone needs to get over and read the Stampede, the top in-state prospects for 2026. You and Jordan Scruggs doing a great job identifying, that talent that Texas is on. Anything else that jumps out at you at this point that is on the recruiting calendar?
Right now, Texas on the bye week. So, I think starting Thursday, you'll really see the coaches start to hit the road. It's an interesting thing now. Like you can only see a kid once, every year or during each period. So, like if they go visit Jonah Williams and see him play, that's the only time they can see him play this fall or see him. So, but that's not going to stop them from doing that. So, I think, I know Chris Jackson, the wide receivers coach, he's going out to see Jamie French. We'll see the coaches all over, probably seeing the top guys, top commits, handful of top targets. I wouldn't be shocked to see Johnny Nansen go see, Madden Faramo. Maybe I haven't confirmed that or anything, but you kind of can put the pieces together in terms of where they're going to go, who they're going to see. So that's happening Thursday, Friday. If there's Saturday games, maybe they'll go do that as well. And then obviously all attention will turn to OU the next week. But that's kind of the recruiting calendar right now. Again, we'll be watching out for Michael Terry, seeing if he announces something soon. And then probably right after OU, we'll obviously jump into that Georgia week because it's going to be a mammoth weekend. So that's about it right now.